Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Anne Alvares, parent coach, school counselor, and mother of two. Do you sometimes struggle with your parenting role? Do you notice that sometimes you're repeating patterns that you learned in your own childhood? Maybe you are carrying childhood pain that has not been healed, and you notice that it is showing up in your parenting with your own children. Perhaps you yell or get frustrated easily. Maybe you are directing them or telling them what to do all the time, and you notice that your actions are affecting your relationship with your children. Well, parents, I totally understand this. I came from childhood pain and I learned how to be a relational parent with my children. And I can teach this to you as well. This podcast is all about learning how to heal the childhood pain that we are carrying so that we can foster healthy relationships with our kids. Join us every week for a new show, and we will dive into the healing and the fostering of healthy relationships with our children. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I am super excited today because I have a special guest. His name is Christopher Murray. He is also a parent coach. Welcome, Christopher.
Hi, thanks for having me. Grateful to
Uh,
be here.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Christopher Murray, and I am a single father. And single fatherhood presents many complexities, but I find that one of them that comes to mind the most is as men, we have this thing called testosterone. So for me, it's imperative that I work on my mindset and I implement many strategies in order to feel relaxed so my energy's right for my child.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so how long have you been a single father, Christopher?
I've been a single father for nearly 2 years now.
Mhm.
Sorry, no, 2.5 years after losing my wife to COVID-19. So,
Wow. So,
yeah,
yeah, so it's pretty fresh still, right? Um,
it, it is. I mean, time has gone by and I'm on the linear healing path. It's easier than what it was, but still a lot of healing to do.
right.
Yes,
But you have a big purpose, right?
correct. Yes, I do.
And that's your son. How old is your son?
My son right now is 6.5 years old.
Oh, the golden years of parenting. That's what I call them. I think it's like 6 to 11 or 5 to 11, something like that. Like those are the sunshine years, right? They love you
Yeah,
unconditionally. You can do no
yes,
wrong.
yeah.
I miss those times.
You have
Just
to
tell it.
enjoy it, seize every moment. I think that these days, with the wonderful advancements in technology, I think it's our due diligence as parents to get every single aha moment of oomph of where like record it on your data or on your videos. There's no excuse, videos, pictures, because by doing this you can create so many golden moments,
Yes.
and like you said, in the golden years before it's too late, it's
Yes.
best to do this now before they enter the non-loving stage, right? So
Right. And what brought you to wanting to be a parent coach?
what brought me towards wanting to be a parent coach was so I was thinking about this. So I've been a parent coach for a year now. However, what stemmed me towards wanting to become and what inspired me was actually the pandemic itself. And I'll tell you why. The reason for this is so I was private renting at the time, me and my wife, bless her soul, when she was still alive, and we were renting. We had a garden, and my point is, because we were all homebound, we would hear loads of shouting, and we would hear like loads of parents shouting at the children. Yes, it was especially the first wave. If you think back, it really did feel like to a certain degree the world was ending. So many people didn't know how to take that. And moreover, I feel that like before COVID, we always had that world of distraction amongst us. And when COVID came, we were forced to go inwards,
Yes.
inwardly, as in like figuring out who we were as people. My
Mhm.
belief is that so many parents, because they relied so much on external distraction, they didn't
Mhm.
know who they were. So when that time came and we were forced to be in our homes, it's big freak out, anxiety, stress. And so I don't want to stay in the course here. Like we'll be in the garden and
Yes.
I'll be me and me like I'll be hearing loads of parents shouting at their children. But I thought instead of making this like work against us with the situation, why not create so many meaningful aha moments of joy, of playfulness, of purity, of just make the best, transmute negative into positive. And I remember saying to my son, "We're in such a bad time right now, son, but you know what? We're gonna play." We're going to play in the garden whilst everyone else is shouting. You're going to hear shouting at times. We're going to be laughing. We're going to be playing. We're going to have your baby toys and Transformers, and then dancing,
Yes.
playing Twister in the garden, you name it. And we had
Right.
such a great time.
I know. I think COVID was either a blessing for people
Mm,
or a tragedy, right? Like when I
yeah,
look back at that time, I actually was grateful for it because
yes.
everybody was home, everybody was safe. At the time, my oldest was working downtown until 3 in the morning, and every night I would be worrying about him coming home. And I
Hmm.
was, in a way, I was grateful, like to have everybody home, everybody safe. And then we had lots of bonding time with friends because
Yes.
our kids were not in activity. So then we would go for walks together. So I like the attitude that you took. Like, we're going to make the best of this time. We're going to spend time together. We're going to connect,
Yes.
that sort of thing. But not undermining the worry, because I know parents had a lot of worry during that time if you couldn't work. I know
Hmm.
that was probably very hard and stressful. So I know it was a challenging time for many people. But I want to know a little bit more about what has been difficult in being a single father.
Well, what's been very difficult is not only being a single father, but also like parenting across generations, co-parenting, because my mother-in-law slash my son's nan is also she loves him very much and he loves her very much, as well as my son loves his father very much and I love him very much. But the issue is parenting across generations, it presents many complexities, and I will admit it has caused much conflict. Now, the reason for this is different beliefs, core values, generationally, right? There's many layers. Think of like an onion with so many layers. So, in addition to being a single father, before I go deep and answer that, I would also add in that, yeah, like, and then here's another thing. I'm in the middle of the spectrum in terms of the age discrepancies, but my son is way down here, and I'm like being so young, and my mother-in-law is way up here of her age. So it's like the energy it takes to parent across generations as well, right?
Yes.
And then so now I'll answer your question by going deep by being a single
Yes.
father. But I wanted to put that point forth
Mm.
because it adds into my next segue regarding testosterone.
Okay.
So being a single father in itself is challenging, but again, parent across generations even more so, right? Exemplifies it. So what do I do about that? How do I control my emotions? How do I control my brain versus my mind controlling me? What I would do is implement a lot of holistic methods, and whether that was by exercising a lot, and I do that a lot,
Mhm.
so I can feel good and feel strong and calm, or whether that's investing in many plants. My place is like a mini jungle with so much green around me, but I choose to do this because when you look at greenery all around you, it puts your subconscious in a relaxed state. So by that default alone, it helps serve you towards not only being calm, but as well as this, additionally, being the best version of yourself regarding the energetics of parenting, because you're calm, you're relaxed, right? Exercise, endorphins, or, so you feel good. And that's another one. Lava lamps, Nova lamps, Nova, I think they're called Nova lamps. Very good for, sometimes I'll just stare like just for 10 minutes, stare at the beautiful colors and they're slowly dispersing and all, the sizes of the wax. And it's beautiful. It puts you in a very relaxed, calm state of mind. Eating right, lots of greens, metabolism tablets, I mean, just many less Epsom bath salts. That's
Yes.
helped so much as well. Many things to control your testosterone.
I love that. I love that. I think there's something about getting in touch with nature or appreciating nature that fills the soul,
Nature, of
right?
course.
Like
Yes.
this morning I woke up and there was a beautiful sunrise and I was like I took a moment to just take it in, you know?
Yes.
And it made me feel so good. I think like we need to get out in nature more. We need to appreciate nature more, right?
See,
Yes.
to your point, absolutely, you're 100% correct. But to your point, just for transparency, I didn't mention nature because I'm homebound a lot. This is why I put a mini jungle in my garden. And now to add to your point, yes, nature is so important as well as sunlight, right? These are all
Yes.
very important things. It's just finding the time to do that whilst you're working, of course. Now, it's very important to make time because your body, it's not conditioned to be like this and be a robot and type in all day. And I don't know about you, but I've heard stories, Anne, where people that are just so, and I'm sorry to use this analogy, married to their office chair, but they
True.
actually um, can pass away sooner, believe it or not, because they're just sitting. They can die
Yeah.
sooner. Sorry to be graphic, but and it's not really hard to figure out when you think about it. Because if you're sitting here for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, just sitting down, that's unnatural to your body. Your body's designed to move around, right? Your body's designed to move and to be in free flow by walking, by running, jogging, cycling. So it's finding the time to do this, which is of exponential importance for increased well-being, right? And to
Yeah.
further strengthen your bond with your child.
I love it. I love that. Okay. So tell me about what are some things, I think you and I talked about this before, but what are some things that you want to teach your son? What do you want him to remember about you as a single dad?
I want my son to like know when he's older that I gave him everything in me. So like say, and I'm going to use this pardon this sock, stick with me as an analogy. So let's
Okay.
pretend let's pretend that this sock is a wash rag or a dish rag, right?
Mhm.
And every time I twist that dish rag, water comes out, although it's not water, it's my soul. So I want every time that I'm interacting with my son, right? Everything that's coming out, that's my soul. I want everything that's inside of me out of me. And for my boy to know that I gave him my absolute best with emotional immersion, attentive listening, playfulness, patience, compassion, playful, like sincerity, love. I just wish him to know that I did my very best and did what I feel with respect. A lot of parents should be doing, and especially men.
Mhm.
Because a lot of men, they're not very good at the emotional front and being in tune with the child's emotions, right? Not every man, but a lot of them. Um, and it's like I just feel that it's of imperative importance that the child will like if you make your child feel with all the aforementioned points put forth, they'll remember you, you know.
Yes. Yes. Wow, I love that so much. And were you a teacher before? Because that was like a very teachable moment, the way you took the sock and you rang it out.
No, I've never been a teacher. As in like, do you mean a school teacher?
Yeah, I think you have the knack for it actually.
Oh, bless you. Oh,
Okay,
I appreciate that.
I love
Thank
that so much. That that you gave your heart and soul to your little
Yeah,
boy, and you want him to remember that or to know that, to feel that, right?
yeah,
So and you mentioned playfulness. You mentioned like I think dads are the best when it comes to playfulness, honestly, because they know how to play, right?
yeah.
And us moms, like speaking for myself, I'm very much a take nurturer. Like,
Mm,
let me cook you something, let me do your laundry, let me help you with this.
yes,
And I'm not as good with the playing part. But my children, because I have boys, Christopher, too, they play with me. They want to play. So they're
yeah,
like, let's go play basketball or let's play Scrabble. They're the
yes,
ones that invite me into the playing world, right? With them. And I love that. So dads, it's so important to play with your kids, right, Chris?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And whether that's mental play or physical alike, um, it doesn't really necessarily matter between physical and mental. For example, physical, you just said it, basketball or soccer. I think you call it football, soccer where you are. In
Yeah.
the UK, we call it football. But whatever the case may be, whether it's physical activities or mental alike, the main consensus is making your child feel that you're immersed emotionally behind his playful nurturement. So,
Okay. How do you feel about like I think we have a generation gap, you and I. I'm quite a bit older than you, but I think men before a long time ago, it was kind of society shunned men showing emotion, right? Or
yes,
talking or even talking about their emotions. But I feel like the younger generation, and I'm also very mindful of it with my own children, because I want to raise men that are emotionally intelligent, right?
yeah,
And to be emotionally intelligent, you need to be in touch with your feelings.
yes, that's right.
And you need to be able to express them in a
Yes.
healthy way, right? And so, like, that's kind of how I feel about raising boys. But from a man's perspective,
Mm,
from a dad's perspective, what
mm.
are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, I'm going to be very honest. I feel, and I mentioned this to you when we first met, regarding my belief, so regarding respite from schools and if you recall. So I'll now explain to your audience with your permission,
Yes.
if I may. So
Hmm.
I personally feel that parents rely on schools far too much for respite. What I mean by this is like if you think about it, when half term rolls around, and especially the summer holidays, when you know, where you're the child the longest, how many times have you heard parents having meltdowns with their children because they're literally around each other every single day? But what
Hmm.
people don't realize is, had they had made the effort and work to bond with their children whilst their child slash children is at school, that would set them up, be the gateway towards setting them up for a much more peaceful, um, in like summer holiday period. In my belief is that because if you haven't done the practice of bonding, right, how can you expect your child to, like not have any problems or this, like it's like monkey see, monkey do, right? How do you expect your child to concentrate if you don't teach them how to concentrate? How do you how do you showcase or sorry, how do you expect the child to always like get it right all the time over a long period, being summer holidays at the forefront, and you're around each other every day and not to have problems if you don't teach the child strategies whilst you have that option to have respite behind
Hmm.
like, does that make sense? So what I would
Totally.
do, right. So what I would do is that when my son was at school, no ifs, ands, or buts, I would always make time, right? And I'll somehow make it work. Like, but and when you include getting up, so early. Like I'll get up like 4 o'clock, kind of selfishly for myself, because then for an hour I can work out and do my thing. And then like by five, I'll give you an example how I did it. And then 5 a.m. rolls around. That gives me time to do a solid 2.5 hours of work, right? And then what I'll do then is wake my boy up, but a little hack, I'll put his favorite song on. And what that meant is that by putting his favorite song on, that sets his subconscious up when he's sleeping with his favorite songs with positive endorphins in his brain. So when he's conscious, right, and he wakes up, he's in a good mood. And that sets him up
Nice.
for the entire day at school. It works like a charm, if I may give some value there. But also, so then dropping him to school and then rushing back to school, from school run back to mine at 10, another 4 hours of work, and then 2 o'clock go to school again, and then yeah, and then literally when he came home, well, so when we came home, we would be home roughly around 4 or 4:10, something like this. So this would mean straight after school, while the adrenaline was still going and all the craziness of rushing around and everyone's going a million miles an hour, while that adrenaline and your energy is super high, no ifs, ands, or buts, an hour every single day, attentive listening, right? So this could be watching his favorite program together, like Peppa Pig or Mr. Bean, the cartoon, and us just to have that hour as an example of, hey,
Nice.
this is really funny, son. What's your favorite part of the thing? And just talking about, or it could mean talking about, um, you know, that, oh, he played Kiss Chase today, and let's talk about that, son. And how was your day? And what's your, not dreams compared to their little boys, but what's your interest?
Mhm.
What are you hoping to, whatever it is, just a couple of examples, but every single day, that's an hour after school. And then after that hour was up, I'll put his dinner on. And then while the dinner was cooking, could do another bit of work, feeding the dinner, and then work, and then, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I made it work, but I always wanted to, like, with an intense emphasis of at least an hour every day of daily farmering, if you will, nurturing of his emotional, psychological, and spiritual, um, you know, being
Being,
development.
yeah, I love that. So you are very intentional of
Yes,
carving time, prioritizing time for
yes,
connection, right? For
yes,
connection, for bonding, for to know, to learn more about him and to also share more about you, right? Because
yes.
our kids actually want to know about us, honestly, parents, it's true. And especially when they're teenagers, they will ask more questions because they're
Oh,
trying to
yes.
figure out their identity, right? They're trying to
Yeah,
like I got a whole bunch of questions from my 14-year-old last year. And it was, of course, at the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, honey. So like, it's late, it's 11, but I'm like, he wants to talk now, so I'm not gonna go to bed, right? Because teenagers,
yeah.
when they want to talk, you gotta
You
let
gotta
them
make
talk.
time. You gotta do
You gotta,
it.
because they don't want to talk all the time. And
It's
I don't know,
true.
for some reason they're wide awake nighttime. I'm not sure why. There must be a reason. But I love what you said about the connecting part, and finding out what his interests are,
Hmm.
right? Like I,
Right.
I think a couple of things that you said stuck out to me. First of all, being intentional with time, because we cannot connect with our kids if we don't make time for them, right? And then the
Absolutely.
second thing I like that you said that I think is really relevant is l- sharing their interests, and we take an interest in what they care about, right?
Yes.
So I'm a firm believer of that actually, because I've done that with both of my children. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like my oldest was into collecting golf balls. So as a toddler, we would go to all the golf courses to look for golf balls. He loved that. And then my youngest, everything he's interested in, like this weekend we did fishing because he really wanted to go fishing. We've done hiking together because they both like that. So I find out what they want. I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you want to explore? You know? And then I also do share some things that I like, right? And so
Hmm.
then they get a feel for what mom likes also. So it
Yeah.
is really, that's really a relationship when you are sharing, right,
Yes.
with each other. So I love what you said, Chris. That's so, so good. Okay. Do you want to leave anything to say to parents what your hope is for dads? Like, what are some words that you want to leave for single dads that could help them on the journey?
What I would like to say is because I've said everything I need to say regarding the testosterone and provided tips and insights behind being in a relaxed peak state.
Mhm.
But if I may, with your permission, may I talk about the technological fronts?
Of course.
Because to me, this is a big one for me personally. And I find, and look, this is going to be very real, raw, and brutally honest. And it might trigger and hurt some people what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. Now, I feel that like there's a lot of parents wanting the peaceful, easy life, right? After, say, work, because they're tired, fair enough, and school runs and all these things. But I personally do think that parents rely on screen time with their children, or having their children have screen time, I should say, rather, far too much. There's nothing wrong with screen time. Too much screen time is bad. Like really, and at times, at that can be detrimentally bad. Example, and this is going to be brutally honest. Some parents they dump the device, the tablet, the computer, the PlayStation, whatever, the TV, whatever, right? And it could be 3, 4 hours every single day. Seriously, these things happen. Now those hours stack up, right? And
Yes.
those days turn to weeks. Those weeks turn to months. Those months turn to many months. And then if nothing changes, those years turn to multiple years. Why do you think this is going to be, triggering for some people? Why do you think there's so many teenagers who cannot express their suppressed emotions? Because parents have relied far too much, real talk, keeping 100, real talk, far too much on the technological devices and dumped it in front of them without the children or child's children without nurturing them. And this is why then the child becomes alienated from the emotional front. They are alienated and they don't know how. It's not like they don't
Mhm.
want to, they don't know how to express their emotions because they haven't been taught.
Mhm.
So that so what I would like to say is please parents like just make time for your child, even if it's like an hour a day, sitting at a table, dinner, playing, watching their favorite show, just an hour a day. And then, trust me, it works like a charm and it will forge a much better bonds if you make the efforts.
I love that. Absolutely love that. I do think when they're little,
Hmm.
small, we should try to keep devices away from them, and because they want to connect. Like we are biologically geared for connection. Um,
Yes.
especially like as soon as they're born, they want
Hmm.
to be held, they want to be touched, they want to be taken care of, and they cry because they it's a
Yes.
need to be cared for. But the need doesn't go away. It does change over the years, but
Yes.
the need is there to be filled by us. So
Yes.
we have to fill it. We have to fill, I call it the emotional bank account, right? We have to fill,
Yes. Yes. I
we
love
have to,
that. I
right?
love that.
We have to
Yes.
fill the emotional bank account. And the
Hmm.
more we fill it, the, the better we're going to be able to raise confident,
Yes.
caring, and emotionally healthy kids, right? When we feel
Yes.
it. And I love that you're intentional with the hour a day. I think that is so, so good, especially when they're young. Maybe
Yes.
in the teenage years you can't do an hour, but you could do half an hour.
Yeah.
I did time with my oldest when I was driving him. That's when we connected. I was like, "How was your day? What's going on? Tell me about your world," you know?
Hmm.
That sort of thing. So you have to carve out time for your children, even when they're getting older. They still need us, right? I
Yes.
love that, Chris. I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay,
And
so
may I just say one more thing very quickly?
yes,
Um, I admittedly did get this. God bless him. I think he's a great man. You have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
no,
You never heard of Jordan Peterson? He's a very
no,
intelligent, you know, psychologist, and and he mentions that, and I got this from him admittedly, but I really took in his words, and he says, and I quote him, not me, this is him: "Your primary job as a parent is to make your child socially desirable by the time, um, by the age of 4. Because if you don't, they're going to experience nothing but false smiles from other parents and rejection from other children. So, in other words, to condense it, before 4, it's imperative that you work on the movement, one, two, three, walking with them, and they get older and more confident, boing, boing on trampoline, and and then they start to forge confidence based on your efforts, from 1 to 3, say. And if you've done it correctly, they're so confident, right? Engaging with other children because there's been that emotional immersion from the physical fronts and developing their body standpoint. So, yeah.
yeah, I'm in 100% agreement. We are the role models, right? They learn about relationship from us, right?
Yes.
So we have to role model socially acceptable bonding relationship, right? Uh,
Yes.
like like I'm always stunned when parents are like, "Why does my kid shout at school?" Well, do you shout at him, right? Because that's where they
Mhm.
learn it. They learn it from home first, and then they
Yes.
bring it into the school environment, right? So we're the role models, and we have to really be mindful of that. Oh,
Yes.
so good, Chris. So good. Okay, so where can parents find you?
So I am just on Facebook right now. I've got 2 profiles. Um, but parents can find me on Facebook. You've got my details there. I am going on LinkedIn soon as well to really get started. And also, I have created a YouTube channel and I've just uploaded my first video as well. So, so I'm just about I'm focusing on these 3 paths for now because I don't want to get overwhelmed with platform. I think it's best to
Yes,
master a couple or 2 or 3 platforms, right? Um,
brilliant.
but like I'm very slowly getting out there. It's a process, and I've dealt with a lot of personal challenges as well. This is why my progress has stalled. However, I do have a lot of insights to offer, and my message is slowly yet strongly, I want to say, getting out there. So yeah, I'm on
Oh,
YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Yeah.
okay, I
All
will share the links, parents, on the podcast notes. And I want to thank you again, Christopher Murray, for a very insightful conversation with you as a single dad. And I want to say, single dads,
yes.
um, you're awesome.
Thank
And
you
I
very
know you're
much.
trying. I know you're all trying. So it's okay to reach out for help, and it's okay to learn along the journey. We're all learning, honestly. It's true. So
And
thank you so much.
practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement, right? We can always better our bests.
We
So,
we we are
uh,
on the journey of learning, so we can't
yes,
be getting down on ourselves, right?
yes, we're
If
perfectly
we
imperfect. It's great.
We're
It's
perfectly
good. It's
imperfect.
good.
We
It's
are.
good.
We are.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So, but you, kudos for trying,
yeah,
dads. Kudos for
yes,
trying.
absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. And love you, parents. We'll see you in the next show. Take care.
Thank you so much, guys. God bless.
Thank you, parents, for joining the show today. I hope it was valuable and that you have some useful tools to use with your children. If this show blessed you or changed you in any way, I would appreciate a review on my podcast, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, or perhaps you could even recommend our masterful parenting to your family and friends. Thank you so much, parents.